Welcome to this special edition of Go Vote Omaha, a candidate forum for Douglas County Board Commissioner, District 5, presented by the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha. I'm Candid Villard, a League Administrator and the moderator for this forum. The League never supports or opposes political parties or candidates. We present this forum solely for voter education. The format is as follows. Each candidate will get a 1-minute opening statement followed by questions prepared by the League of Women Voters. Each candidate will answer every question and will have up to 90 seconds to answer. Following the questions, each candidate will have a 2-minute closing statement. We alternate speaking order throughout the forum. A timekeeper will signal candidates when they have 30 seconds of time remaining and when to stop speaking. Before the forum, the candidates flipped a coin to determine the initial speaking order. I will introduce them now in that order. There are 2 candidates running for Douglas County Board Commissioner, District 5. They are Tim Lonergan and Maureen Boyle. First, we will begin with opening statements. Tim Lonergan, you may begin.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for doing this. You guys do an exceptional job of letting both sides of the candidates get their point out. But my name is Tim Lonergan. I'm a candidate for the Douglas County Board District 5. I'm a lifelong resident of Omaha, except Maureen and I had a brief conversation before. I was born in St. Joe, Missouri, 58 years ago. I am a product of the Omaha Public Schools. I went to Omaha Central High School, class of 1980. And I've been married to my wife, Mary Lou Irvin, for 32 years. And together we have 7 children, adult children. We have a few left in the house. Currently, I'm a owner of the Lonergan Lawns lawn care company. I cut grass and provide lawn care service throughout the Douglas County and Omaha, Nebraska. I went to UNO. I got a degree in political science, special education, and history education. I was a school teacher for 13 years before I started my lawn care business.
Thank you. Maureen Boyle.
Hi, and just like Tim, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having this. There aren't too many forums out there for us to get the word out, and really the standard of care is the League of Women Voters as far as getting information out there for voters to see. Yes, I'm Maureen Boyle. I am, you may think, the daughter of Ann and Mike Boyle, and you'd be correct. And to be honest with you, I never thought I would run for political office. Growing up, my parents instilled in my siblings and me the values of serving others. When I was growing up, I saw the ins and outs, the ups and downs of the political process, to be honest with you. And I decided rather than public service to do this more privately. So I went to medical school and now I'm a doctor. I practice OBGYN. I get to deliver babies and all that. It's a lot of fun. So why would I run then if I love my job? Bottom line is I want to give back to my community. That's the first thing. I've gone to school in this district, St. Margaret Mary's, Marian High School, UNO, UNMC. The second thing is my mom died a little over a year and a half ago, and I want to honor her legacy. So I would appreciate your support on this during this election. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we'll be moving into our questions. So question 1 states, do you think the Douglas County Health Department has all the funds they need to deal with COVID-19 crisis and future public health situations?
And that's my turn, correct?
Maureen starts, yes.
Yes, yes. I think what we're finding out with the COVID epidemic, the pandemic, is really how much that a medical issue can really take over our entire lives. And so when it comes down to the job of the Douglas County Health Department, I will say that I respect and I believe that Adipor has done an incredible job. I think she has a lot of resources. I think when we see this, we realize you can never say there are enough, to be honest with you. But another epidemic I see occurring too is one of mental health. Down the road, I have a feeling that's where we should and could be spending more money, and it's going to be a costly one. So we have to make sure that we're really watching our dollars closely so that we don't increase taxes for things like that. But again, I think that public health is critical. Anytime we can help fund public health it's a good investment. Prevention is way easier to treat than treatment. So prevention is easier than treatment. I think as far as mental health goes, we're going to have to look at services that are offered currently. UNMC just opened up their psychiatric emergency room, which I think is a huge, amazing step. And so I think that Douglas County and the health department should really do what they can to collaborate with a project like that, since COVID not only is affecting mental health, but that's just a crisis regardless.
Thank you. Tim Lonergan?
Yeah, I think the Douglas County Health Department probably is adequately funded. I want to echo in on some of the things Maureen said, that I think this crisis has probably given us ways to look at their budget and see if they need any more funding or not. I'm not privileged to look at their budget at the present time, but I think that with this pandemic, you're going to be able to see some things down the road and maybe prepare for the next time. Obviously, I don't think this is the last pandemic or crisis we're going to have in Douglas County for people's health. And in the future, I just think we need to look at their budget and see if it's adequate. Dr. Poor is going to be able to come back to the county board in the future with her new budget, and we'll have to look at it and see if it's adequate. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you. I was having a bit of an X out button problem here. Okay, so question 2. Do you agree with how the CARES funds were appropriated by Douglas County? And if not, what would you change?
Is that me first? Yeah, so far, I think they're doing an adequate job distributing the CARES Act fund. I was a little disappointed that the city had to come beg for their money from the county board, since the city does make up 80% of the Douglas County. The Douglas County would not have gotten the CARES Act money if it wouldn't have been for the size of the city of Omaha. And the only reason the city didn't get it over the county was that we do make up 80%. So the county, we only make up 80% of the total population of the CARES Act money. So, but what they're doing with it currently, the help with mental health, with the help with the city's budget, and to help with other aspects of the county budget, I totally support their decision.
Thank you. Maureen Boyle?
Yeah, so as far as Douglas County and how they've allocated some of the CARES Act money, to be honest with you, I think they kind of stuttered on their steps a little bit at the beginning. I think that there was a question as to how to best direct the monies, and I think that just created just a sense of disorganization. Now, granted, it's something that has never fallen upon them before, and it's really new to everybody, just like that we're learning all kinds of things about this pandemic and just how we act. I think that one of my disappointments was the fact that the Sheriff's Department was trying to put through a $1.83 million truck that they said was going to be used maybe to give vaccines out. That was an incredible waste of money and kind of a money grab, in my opinion. I think that there are more efficient ways to do that. Now, the good thing is they couldn't get that funded because the company that makes the trucks couldn't get it done before December 31st, which is the deadline by which the CARES Act money has to be allocated. I think that now that Douglas County is doing a better job, starting to see that really the money should go to the people, where people need it the most. And we're talking basic needs being met. We're talking housing, we're talking food, we're talking mental and physical health services. We're not talking about things like new trucks or even performing arts, to be honest. I wish some of that money would have actually gone to eviction court. So I think that now they've kind of got they're steering in the right direction, but I think got off to a rough start.
Thank you. Question 3 states, according to racialequitytools.org, structural racism in the United States is the normalization and legitimization of an array of dynamics, historical, cultural, institutional, and interpersonal, that routinely advantage whites while producing cumulative and chronic adverse outcomes for people of color. What actions would you take as a Douglas County Commissioner to address structural racism in the county?
First, I do agree that that is a very big deal. Just in my own personal experience, I can tell you as a physician, the maternal mortality rate for Black people, Hispanic people is higher than it is for white people. And that has to do with the way research is done. It's mostly done on whites. It has to do with with our own personal biases. Most physicians are white or of other nationalities that are not Black people or Hispanic people. And so our biases exist whether we want to admit it or not. As far as on the county board, specifically what could be done, we are in charge of giving, sometimes we have projects that are done that have contracts. We can look to prefer minority contractors that are qualified to do the job. As far as other things we can do, we can capital investment in those parts of town where our Black citizens are trying to make themselves get ahead. I do think we have some opportunities to really just also be present in communities of color in South Omaha, North Omaha primarily, to make sure that even though we are not running for those particular districts, we still have folks in our district who do need that type of help. So I think it's really getting out into the community and listening to what those needs are, and just really listening is key.
Thank you. Tim Lonergan?
Absolutely. As I drive through the district in my daily job, I see a lot of vacant lots, and most of them are concentrated in North Omaha. And I think the county could come aboard and offer some tax incentives to the people in the neighborhood to get those lots filled with houses, affordable housing for the community in North Omaha and also in South Omaha. When I was elected to the Metro Community College Board, we had programs in place that would help minorities get hired with the college, also be able to get their government contracts if they qualified in the fair bidding process. So I think the county needs to sit down and look at their affirmative action process and see what we can do to improve all lives of the minority community in Douglas County. Because if we all win, if the minority community wins, we all win in Douglas County.
Thank you. Question 4 states, what do you think are the 2 most important issues facing Douglas County? Tim Lonergan, you may begin.
I think one of the biggest issues we need to face in Douglas County is transparency and openness. The current county board passed a $120 million bond issue, which increased our taxes 5.3%, and without very minimum input, and the vote was done in executive session. I think the community in Douglas County needed to be involved in that process. And second, with this pandemic going on, I think we need to use more technology. Although this is not what Maureen and we all wanted to sit on a Zoom meeting, but this is going to be the next wave of the future. This is a way that we could save taxpayers money by having the use of technology in Douglas County's government, use that more than just wasting taxpayers' money.
Thank you. Maureen Boyle?
So I think acutely, the board really has a couple of issues to deal with, and I see it really as a result of this pandemic. This is something that when Tim and I both filed, we did not see this coming. And so this has really changed some of the directions I think that we need to go with things. With the pandemic, we're seeing how, again, a physical health issue can impact every aspect of our lives. And so we have to make sure that we are really taking care of the citizens themselves. I think that then spills over to budgetary issues. We have to do everything we can in order to make sure that we're taking good fiduciary care of the budget itself, that we're trying not to increase property taxes, that we're trying to do what we can to make sure everybody's basic needs are met. We're only as strong as the most fragile among us, so we really need to take care of the people. In that falls mental health once again. And one topic we haven't mentioned yet is another big issue coming up that is actually happening is the Douglas County Juvenile Justice Center. Now, granted, we may not be able to have any impact on that because the ground's been broken, the bonds have been passed. And so, but at the same time, Tim and I both agree that downtown is not a place for this. There's a better way to do it. The programs are in place or becoming in place, and that's the critical part of it. So I think right now, the big things have to do with dealing with budgetary issues and shortfalls that are going to happen as a result of the pandemic.
Thank you. So question 5 says, in light of recent protests about the police, would you support shifting any resources from the Douglas County Sheriff's Office to mental health services or other programs?
Is it me?
Yes, and Maureen Boyle actually will begin.
Okay, so as far as shifting, as far as the needs of the community, mental health again is going to be a really big deal. But to be honest, it already is. I mean, when the police respond to calls, many of them are not necessarily law and order calls. A lot of them are cries for help. If you have a homeless person, for example, or I was driving home from work a couple of weeks ago and I saw someone standing on the interstate bridge, you know, so those folks don't need the police per se as much as they need a mental health professional. So before all of this happened, there was a need for this. There are programs out there to try to deal with these types of crises. When 911 calls come in, divert them to mental health professionals as opposed to the police. So as far as whether to cut a budget to do that, I think if anything, find room within the budget to hire mental health specialists may be a way to go. This may require, I'm not sure again, but it could require maybe a different department that does this, but to have mental health under the umbrella of law enforcement, it's really a health issue, not a law enforcement issue. So I think that would open people's minds. It'd be more receptive. People would be more receptive to supporting something like that.
Thank you. Tim Lonergan?
Yes, if I'm privileged enough to win on November 3rd, if I'm on the Douglas County Board, I will not support $1 off the Douglas County Sheriff Department. We need a very strong police department, strong sheriff department to remain, have a law and order society, along with the issue that you mentioned about the helping mental health and the issues that go along with that. I think we need to find other ways than touching the Douglas County Sheriff's budget. I do not support defunding the police or defunding anything to do with law enforcement. So we need to find other ways to help those individuals and find money for those programs, not taking it out of the Douglas County Sheriff's budget.
Thank you. Question 6 reads, what are your views on property taxes in Douglas County? And this will be for Tim Lonergan.
You know, I mentioned that earlier, that $120 million bond issue raised our property taxes 5.3% on everybody's property tax. Some of us can afford it, some of us cannot. Talking about the minority issues, this did not help anybody in the minority community that is of a lower socioeconomic status for income. That hurt them greater than it did me or anybody else that has a decent job that can afford that. I'm blessed that I can afford a little extra property taxes that is not going to affect my family budget. I will still get up in the morning and eat and be able to still go out and do my job. So I think we really need to focus on somehow to reduce our property taxes. And it's getting tougher every year with the state legislature passing that burden on more and more to the local property taxes. So we need to look at ways to either find new revenue sources or look at ways to cut the budget.
Thank you. Maureen Boyle?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all of us pay property taxes and none of us want to, but we're all smart enough to know that in order to have basic needs met, we have to pay them. And so I think our job on the Douglas County Board as the administrator of the budgets of different county departments is to first of all, make sure that those county departments are presenting solid budgets. You know, I have a business degree in addition to having my medical degree, and I'm still the nerd that balances my checkbook every month. And so the bottom line is, I think it's important to really follow a tight budget. I'm also the person in my house who eats all the leftovers. I don't like waste. And so I plan to go after things like that. At the same time, it's very important to provide those services. We've mentioned before, nobody saw this pandemic coming. And sometimes you just can't help but spend money when things like that are happening in order to save the lives of citizens here. And so none of us like property taxes. At the same time, we can't foresee the future. I think that as far as cutting costs, that's a way to go. I think, yes, technology, using that more and more. We're seeing with these Zoom meetings exactly how that can be utilized. And I think just watching where we're spending it and trying not to increase revenue from taxes.
Thank you. Now we will be moving into closing statements. And as Maureen just finished the last question, you'll begin with the closing statement. Go ahead.
All right. Well, again, thank you very much for holding this forum. Like I said, it's really hard for voters to get information where they actually see us talking instead of just little snippets here and there. And I still see the League of Women Voters, that is the go-to source for people who are looking for unbiased information on candidates. So I truly appreciate being here, appreciate the opportunity. So as I said before, you know, I never planned on running for political office. I'm Ann and Mike Boyle's daughters, saw politics, and sometimes it wasn't very pleasant to watch, but sometimes it was exhilarating. And so the conversations I would hear my parents have, I would hear them spew out facts on different topics, and it could be very entertaining, but if nothing else, it was very informative. I will say one thing I learned from my parents is they always truly listened to me. I mean, even as a child, you know, I know that I was listened to. My opinion mattered. And so some people will think that perhaps there shouldn't be two Boyles on the board, but the bottom line is we won't have each other in our back pockets. You know, my father is a lawyer, I'm a doctor. We've had plenty of heated discussions about the difference between the two professions and how we clash. But the best part about it is when each of us are trying to make a point, we do that with basic dignity and respect for each other. And we just disagree on some things. And that's fine. I mean, I didn't get this far being a physician, just falling down and just following someone's path. I had to create my own path. So the bottom line is that can be a concern, some people think, but I'm telling you, when others have brought that up to my dad about that concern, he'd say, you know, have you met Maureen? She's her mother's daughter. I know even in situations with voting, mom and dad have voted for different candidates. And so bottom line is we respect each other's opinions. I was brought up in a house where they truly listen, and I'll bring that to the board.
Thank you. Tim Lonergan?
Yeah, I want to thank again you got the League of Women Voters having this forum, and because the traditional ways of campaigning, all the parades, all the high school football games, those events have all been canceled to go out and meet people, meet the voters. We're down to knocking on doors. And as I knocked on doors in the district, I found that they are looking for a new voice, a new person on the Douglas County board. No offense to the Boyles, they are a wonderful family, but I just think it was time for a new family to get into politics. My parents both worked in not politics, so I'm clearly a different choice. My father worked in construction for his entire adult life, and he since passed away. And my mom was a nurse for 40 years, and she since passed away. So back in October, basically almost a year ago, I decided to run for the Douglas County Board in hopes to replace, we thought, the current county board member, Mark Kraft, and he decided to step down. So this wasn't anything that popped in my head very last minute. I've decided to run for the county board almost a year ago. And I just feel that if the citizens of Douglas County would like a new person on the board, I'm clearly that choice. And I didn't have to ask anybody to run, I just ran. And so come November 3rd, or those that are getting the ballots in the mail as we speak, I would appreciate your vote, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. This concludes our forum for Douglas County Board Commissioner District 5. The League thanks all candidates for participating. For the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha, I am Candid Villard, reminding you to inform yourself about issues here in our city and its candidates. Get your mail-in ballots back to the Election Commission before November 3rd, and remember there are drop boxes if you do not want to put them in the mail. Vote either by mail or on Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. The Voter's Guide is also now available on lwvgo.org. Thank you.